4th of January 2017. Holy Gospel of Jesus Christ according to St. John chapter 1 verses 35 to 42. Holy Gospel of Jesus Christ. John was standing with two of his disciples, and as he watched Jesus walk by, he said, "Behold, the Lamb of God." The two disciples heard what he said and followed Jesus. Jesus turned and saw them following him and said to them, "What are you looking for?" They said to him, "Rabbi," which translated means teacher, "where are you staying?" He said to them, "Come, and you will see." So they went and saw where he was staying, and they were stayed with him that day. It was about 4 in the afternoon. Andrew, the brother of Simon Peter, was one of the two who heard John and followed Jesus. He first found his own brother Simon and told him, "We have found the Messiah," which is translated anointed. Then he brought him to Jesus. Jesus looked at him and said, "You are Simon, the son of John. You will be called Cephas," which is translated Peter. In the early days of this new year, the Catholic Church has begun to present the Gospel of John. Today they are observed only the verses that go from number 45 to number 42. The Bible describes this happens the day after the testimony given by John the Baptist on Jesus Christ. There are two disciples with John the Baptist, and Jesus passes by and is again especially indicated as the Lamb of God. The two disciples' name will be expressed as in that of Andrew, while the other, almost certainly, is the same John who is the author of this Gospel. Even many years later, there remained in him of this very important meeting, even that was about 4 in the afternoon. When the two disciples asked Jesus, calling him Master, where he lives, Jesus responds by offering them two simple actions, the first to follow him, the second to be able to make an objective experience. The man usually does not start giving credit availability. The man is always full of prejudice and bias. As long as it remains in this initial condition, he is not really suitable for a true experience when he is faced with something really new and revolutionary. In fact, the first necessary condition to every man to start a new path is to have a great predisposition to listening. It exists when every person realizes that there are many possible routes available, and when no one has already decided what his start. In order to get to the true knowledge, then it is often necessary to proceed by stages. At the end of each point of arrival, the man has to stop and see it to know where it came, looking at all the new roads that can begin again, starting from the new point where it has come. The Catholic Church has always done it this way. Follows Jesus in his address, then he stops, as if to see and know thoroughly the new knowledge which led Jesus Christ. Throughout history, the Christian Church, you must do it right in order to be available again to have an open mind to the word of Jesus in a new departure. These 8 points of today's Gospel conclude in the same building of the Catholic Church when it will be entrusted to Simon, son of John, which is immediately called by the word that means rock, stone, on which over time will be erected throughout the Christian Church. Jesus entrusted to only one of the driving tasks because it is clear that in one person can regain the unitary direction, guided by God, that is no longer evident when the people in charge were more than one and with different ideas with each other. The ideal process for Jesus Christ is kind of cybernetic, as those who act in an experience that begins right away, and that just made, let you see what has been achieved, so as to be able to share. By directing more and more and more and better Christian church on the goal to be reached, the experience of the Christian, when the church that Jesus wanted was a single and universal, begins to question herself, and, one by one, turn away, before the Orthodox, then the Protestani, Anglicans and many others. And all this is done in research the perfection of the path indicated by Jesus. We forget that the fundamental interest of Jesus has always been that those of his church were one, as he and his Father were one. Orthodox and Protestants did not understand the intent cybernetic. Jesus, too, also proceed through error correction. Every father often agree that his child makes mistakes. If you take a hammer on a finger, before and better understands how he should use the hammer for not doing more harm. The church desired by Jesus should have done as the two directions given to those first two apostles. First, it had to follow Jesus. For second thing was to see where it had been taken from that single experience. Reached this point, the condition of waiting to see what had happened meant having to make a new round of horizon. To the point of getting rid of the Christian prevention, reached the last state of freedom of true judgment, totally free from bias, that was to follow Jesus again, for a new stage of development. If you do not do this, you risk being trapped, even from good intentions, to a perfect start, in fact, along the way. The conditions that the world and life have are different from those existing in the beginning. Must that we can become capable of introducing innovations that occurred in that first goal which brought Christianity, only in this new condition, the absolute ability to listen, retaken. Only then can you start anew listening to the word of Jesus, running in an environment where there is now a new objective reality, the church that instead insisted on pursuing the same Christianity, for as it was understood at the time, would transform the word of Jesus in a new immutable law, and thus no longer met the new times and circumstances. Orthodox and Protestants have come to understand better what were the intentions of Jesus of Nazareth, the Son of God, when he volunteered his church under the direction of Simon Peter alone.